Now, I know that after we've done this series of weeks of teaching in this Olivet Discourse, I know that for some of you, because I've heard this, have struggled a little bit with the portion of this teaching that's touched on our eternal reward and the way that that process of assigning reward will go in the day of our judgment. Perhaps you're now wondering to yourself, have I done enough to please Jesus? Am I going to get a reward? Am I going to get any kind of reward? Am I too far behind now that I can't catch up and do what Jesus wants me to do? I know there's some of you out there that are probably saying, oh, great, here's another thing that I have to worry about, something else on my to-do list that I can't find time for. And so you're just stressing over the pressure, the pressure to find your spiritual gift and the pressure to volunteer and do something for the church or whatever it is you're thinking. Look, if that's what you're thinking right now, then I want you to let the story of these sheep be an encouragement to you, because they are the model of how you get ready for your eternal rewards. Listen to what Jesus told these believers, and I want you to let it take the burden off your shoulders, the burden that you've put on yourself by how you've perceived what the Bible is saying. How Jesus said that they were serving him even when they didn't know they were doing it. Think about that for a moment. Remember what Jesus said about what it would be like to serve him? He said this in Matthew 11:28. Come to me, all who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy, my burden is light. Now look what he just said. Jesus said serving him will be like resting from heavy burdens, because serving Jesus is doing something your heart wants to do. When you serve Jesus, you do it with spiritual abilities that he gave you. He gives you the opportunities in your path. He brings the fruit from your service. He causes the good things to happen. He directs people into your path. He solves the financial dilemmas that you come upon. He does all the work. What exactly are you doing? Honestly, you just simply show up. That's it. Serving Jesus is not about your ability. It's about your availability. And notice back in Matthew 11:29, which I just read you, Jesus even says, if you want to serve him, you want to put down the heavy laden burdens that you have and take up his easy yoke. He says it just starts, he says, by learning from him. That's what he said. He said, take up my yoke upon you and learn from me. And what you learn is that he's gentle and humble. He teaches you, and he uses a process of teaching so that learning itself is not hard, it's not burdensome. The experiences just flow from one lesson to the next. You just follow him. Wherever he's going, he'll send you where that is. He'll tell you what to do. He's given you the power to do it. He's going to achieve the results through you. You don't even have to do that. Friends, that is light work. That's pretty easy when you think about it. There's not a lot of burden involved in that. It's like Jesus gave us a box, and on the side of the box it says, some assembly required. And at the same time, he gave you the thing to build, all the materials to build it, all the tools to build it, and a bunch of easy written instructions in plain English. And all he asks you to do is open the box. Take a step, serve him where you are. Do something. But he's not asking you to figure out the whole plan. He's not asking you to move mountains on your own. And that kind of work is actually a form of rest, he says. Why? Because if you compare that to the burden of working to serve the world and the world's demands and the world's interests and the world's priorities, well, friends, serving the world is truly a burden, because the world is never satisfied and the work is never easy and the rewards are fleeting at best. So if you think that what we've learned is that serving Jesus is just another burden on top of all the other ones you already have, then you're not doing it right. The work of serving Christ is supposed to replace the heavy burdens of serving the world. You're supposed to say no to something so that you can say yes to Jesus. And if you think about that more, go back to the sheep with me for a minute and look at how easy it is. When they were serving Jesus, they were just feeding or clothing some needy Jew. They were trading something in the world that they already had for opportunity to serve in that way. So maybe they took food off their own table. That was a sacrifice. And they gave it to someone who needed it. Or maybe they had to sacrifice their family's safety to put themselves at risk to help these persecuted Jews. Or they had to give up space in their house for a refugee, or whatever it was. They set aside an earthly priority, a worldly goal, to serve Jesus. Because why? Because they felt compelled to show love to someone else. That was it. They weren't Bible experts. They probably never set foot in a church. They certainly didn't spend decades seeking the perfect mission opportunity somewhere for just them. All of that. They didn't even know they were serving Christ. All they knew was that they had a heart for someone in need that God directed them to for a very specific purpose. That's what serving Jesus looks like when you know you're serving a gentle and humble master. You don't feel pressured. You don't resent the fact that you have to make a sacrifice. You don't even think of it as work. You feel you're finally doing what you were created to do. And the sacrifices will be an honor, a privilege. The results seem to come easily. You find joy in it. It's not something you wake up every day thinking, oh, I got to do this again. You wake up every day excited to do that. That's my own personal testimony of moving out of corporate life and into ministry life. It was like finally I get to quit working. And now I just do what I love. It doesn't feel like work anymore. So if you're stressing over serving Christ or on missing out on eternal reward, let me make this really easy for you. Here's the recipe. Wake up every day and look at what's on your to-do list or on your calendar and just ask yourself one question. How do I make everything that I'm planning to do today about serving Jesus in those places I'm going, in those things that I'm doing? How do I show Christ's love to everyone I'm going to interact with today in my existing plan? If you take that attitude every day, the Lord is going to direct you. He'll direct you into moments. He'll direct you to people, and He'll give you opportunity to serve. That is light and easy burden, and I'm here to tell you, if you live that way, when you get to your judgment moment, you're going to be surprised at how much you did for Jesus that you were not even counting on. Because we tend to see things in such simplistic ways. We don't appreciate how much the Lord can use us in a variety of ways. That's what this lesson has been about.